This video, now with timestamps, is brought to you by xmartial.com. Find rash guards and other martial arts training equipment at xmartial.com. Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. A bunch of you have asked me to give you some recommendations for other martial arts related channels that you can watch and learn from. So I decided to make a video about the most valuable things that I've learned from other martial arts YouTubers. And sometimes it's a specific video and sometimes it's a more central message. Let's start with our friend Rokas from Martial Arts Journey. If you're not familiar with him, he is an Aikido black belt, used to have his own dojo, very successful, and he gave it all up to pursue the truth, to take this martial arts journey into the unknown. And one thing I've learned about Rokas is that 100% sacrifice and 100% honesty is the road less traveled, but it's the road worth taking. Skip ahead to Sensei Seth. Go check him out if you're not familiar with him. Seth put out a video fairly recently, a month or so ago, about analyzing Joe Rogan's turning back kick or turning side kick, one of those. And I don't know if this was deliberate, but I learned something really valuable about teaching, about pedagogy from this video. And Seth pointed out that the way Joe Rogan taught the technique and the way he did it, if you slow down the video and see the way he actually does it, they're two different things. The way we think we do things and the way we actually do things are radically different. And if you haven't seen Joe's kicks, he is phenomenal at the turning back kick and the turning side kick and able to produce enormous amounts of power. But while explaining them to people, the way he thinks he's generating this power is different than how he's actually generating it. Now, this isn't a boo Joe Rogan, nothing like that, nothing at all. We all do this. We all come into the game with these biases. We all think we're doing one thing and then we're really doing another thing. Every last one of us are doing this. And as a coach and an instructor, this is an invaluable lesson to pay attention to. There's a great book, Blink. Man, blanking on the name of the author. He's got glasses, like frizzy, curly hair. Malcolm Gladwell, that's it. Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about this phenomena among sports trainers of tennis in particular, how they taught how to swing the racket in a certain way, but when slowed down and their movement was analyzed, much like what Seth did with Joe Rogan, what they're actually doing is something very different. So this is a really, really important video, I think. Probably one of the more important videos Seth has ever put out, as far as technical aspects of martial arts training goes. So how you actually move, how you think you move, two different things. How you teach and what you're actually teaching, two different things. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time on that. It's a good one. Next on the list, Red Chucks. Not a super popular channel, not yet, but Red Chucks is an awesome guy. And this guy has real life superpowers. Seriously, real life superpowers. Red Chucks. Through his videos, he has taught me the real-life superpowers come through consistent hard work. No, he did not get bitten by a radioactive spider. No, he did not get exposed to cosmic rays. The man went to work every day, and he kept at it, and he kept at it, and he kept at it. He got out there and trained. Ever heard those words before? And that stuff works, and he shows it to you. Matt from Reality Check Self-Defense. Reality Check Self-Defense, one of my favorite channels, one of the most underrated channels out there. I hope this channel blows up, man. It's amazing. But Matt and I made a lot of videos about the same topic, where we would try out bad self-defense, like really bad women's self-defense videos, and there is an unlimited supply of these on the internet. And sometimes when people, YouTubers, make similarly themed videos, they tend to become antagonistic toward each other, and I learned very quickly, no, this guy is awesome, and what he is doing is amazing and unique, and even though we're talking about the same thing, it's not the same thing, and he's putting his own unique spin on it, and it is so interesting and so fascinating to me and so funny, and there's so much talent in there, and I can't recommend this guy enough. So you can address the same topics, you can tackle the same topics as other people, and because you are a unique individual, that take, that video, that presentation, that lesson is unique to you. It should be. I remember I put out a video about breaking boards some time ago, and I got a message from Icy Mike. He was kind of disappointed. He was like, oh man, I wanted to make a video about breaking boards. I'm going to have to wait on that one. I was like, just do it, man, do it, because yours won't be the same as mine. And like a year later, he finally made a video about breaking boards, and it was way different. It was way different. It was unique, and it was interesting, and it wasn't like mine at all. And I don't know, nobody should be afraid like, oh, you're just copying so-and-so. Speaking of Icy Mike, one of the most important videos he ever put out, and this is a very specific video, it's titled something like How to Win Every Sparring Session. And when I heard that, my first thought was, of course, you don't win at sparring. Sparring is about training and helping your partner to improve and him helping you. It's about sharing and experience and all this. And so, yeah, he has a lot of clickbaity thumbnails like that, but this one sounds like clickbait, but it's a genuinely good message. How to win every sparring session. And I was not disappointed, and I didn't feel robbed of my time in any way, shape, or form after watching it. I would recommend, I won't spoil it for you. Go to Mike's channel and watch that one. How to Win Every Sparring Session. It's a genuinely good video with a solid message that I wish I would have come up with myself, because it's good, man. Gabriel Varga. Gabriel Varga, if you don't know who this guy is, he is, how many times over is he a world kickboxing champion? Many. He makes these videos generally standing in front of a wall of his title belts and the gloves he wore for those fights. It's an awesome backdrop. And he's a very talented kickboxer, awesome striker. He's even done some mixed martial arts competition as well, but excels at striking. And he makes these videos mostly about kickboxing. And there was one video that I saw, and this is the lesson I learned. And I wish I could say I learned a more technical lesson from Gabriel Varga, but he makes awesome videos, and I love him, and I love this dude to death, man. But no matter how good you are, no matter how many titles you earn, the internet trolls will still come after you. So he makes this video, and he is literally standing in front of his wall of world title belts, and someone in the comments is still like, who are you, buddy? You suck. Yeah, I could beat you. And, you know, all these stupid things that internet trolls always say, trying to one-up the guy making the martial arts video. Everybody who makes a martial arts video experiences this. Jerks on the internet saying, I could do it better, you suck, step down, stay in your lane. 6-time world champion Gabriel Varga is still getting this crap from the comment section. And if he can get it, anybody can get it. And that's a life lesson anybody on the internet needs to learn to deal with. Joe Valtellini, Bazooka Joe, man. That dude is charismatic. Not only is he an incredible kickboxer, very talented guy with a great YouTube channel, very high production value, but man, he is charismatic. When I watched Bazooka Joe for the first time, I was like, man, this guy is what I wanted to be 15 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. This is what I wanted to be. And I'm not talking about, the big, strong, awesome, world-class kickboxer. I mean, that would be neat, right? What I'm talking about is his poise, his control, his command of his speech, his charisma, just being able to stand and deliver all in one take as he does. I mean, he's just good at what he does. His presentation skills are good. His teaching skills are very good. And the fact that he doesn't do jump cuts or any of this crap, which in my estimation just makes videos worse, is outstanding and commendable. And man, well done, Bazooka Joe. I love that. That's the type of YouTuber I aspire to be to this day. Sensei Ando. Sensei Ando. Is it Ando or Ando? I did a podcast with him. I've spoken with him, and I forgot how to pronounce his name. Is it Ando or Ando? Sensei Ando, we'll call him that. But one thing I learned having a conversation with him, both on camera and offline, is that appearances are deceiving. Like, a lot of people look at Sensei Ando, and he's a happy, positive guy. And yeah, the guy that he is in those videos, yeah, that's him. That's him. But a lot of people tend to brush him off. I won't point at any names. Icy Mike, yes, I will. I don't know what Icy Mike has against Sensei Ando, but he's said some disparaging things online. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there, but he's a nice guy, man. He's a nice guy. But appearances are deceiving. Was I deceived by who he was? No, he's exactly who he is. He's just more. He's a fascinating guy. So get to know people. Get to know people, especially the people that you don't like. Get to know them. And you're going to find out they're a lot more like you than you ever could have imagined. Jesse Encamp and Nick Albin, aka Chewey of Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to put these guys in the same boat because these guys have taught me the same lesson in many ways. Opposite sides of the spectrum, we have Jesse Encamp, the karate nerd, and Chewey, the Jiu-Jitsu black belt, giver of Jiu-Jitsu wisdom on the internet. And both of them have showed me through example that you can be both the nicest guy and the baddest man in the room at the same time. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Fight Bible with Joe and Brad. Fight Bible with Joe and Brad. One very important lesson I've learned from these guys, perhaps the most important lesson, is the power of the perseverance of the human spirit to triumph over the soulless machine robot overlords of YouTube. Well done, my friends. All in good time, with perseverance and a little bit of elbow grease, there's very little that we cannot overcome. Next, Nick and Si Collier. If you don't know these guys, these guys are judo phenoms, young judo phenoms, old school, like 1980s style judo, where you're still allowed to grab the legs and do suplexes and fireman's carries and all this other stuff. And man, these guys are awesome. They put out some awesome videos, technique videos, choreography. They actually helped with the choreography in some of the John Wick movies, and just cool stuff. And one of the very important lessons I've learned from them, judo is awesome. Something I already knew, but man, that you can always bring it up to the next level. As my friend Kyle said, Kyle Rozewski, he's a Kempo black belt turned mixed martial artist he's got a load of title belts too, man. Awesome guy. As he said in a podcast we did together, you can weaponize knitting if you put enough time and effort into it. Next, the Punch Professor. I love this guy's channel for many reasons, but one thing I've learned from him is that you can actually make real friends on the internet. Thank you, Punch Professor, for everything that you've contributed to the YouTube martial arts community. Respect and thanks. Next, Kwon Kicker. Kwon Kicker. Old school YouTuber. Man, when was it? 14, 15 years ago? Long time ago, when YouTube was brand new. And I was a much younger, much more callow, much more rash individual. And writing angry comments on the internet was fairly new. Man, I said some unkind things in the comments to Micah Brock, aka Kwon Kicker. And I think it's something that's wrong with not just human nature, that we want to one-up each other and the anonymity of the internet, but there's something wrong with the martial arts community in general. And I think this is what it is. And I don't want to use this as a scapegoat to excuse my actions, because what I said was just stupid and unacceptable. But something that's wrong with the martial arts community is that we focus on what's wrong all the time. Error correction is the lowest form of coaching, and I'm very vocal about that now. But I think anybody who's taken a traditional martial arts class, especially a traditional martial arts class, but probably any other style or combat sport, knows this. Their instructors spend a lot of time telling you what you're doing wrong. Put your hand here instead of there. Put your hip here instead of there. Do it this way, not that way. And so we grow up in this culture of everything is wrong. Pick it apart. Show them what's wrong. Not constructive criticism, just criticism. And so when we see somebody doing something that we feel is wrong, we tend to jump on their throats and lower the cane. Ha! Bajar la caña! How do you say that in English? Spanish speakers, that's an Argentinian expression. I don't know if they use it in other countries. Bajar la caña, it's like to lower the cane, like to hit somebody with a stick, basically. It's like to give somebody a tongue lashing. Anyway, so we grow up in this culture where we feel we have to do that. And so I see this guy, and he's obviously very talented, and he's good at what he's doing. And, you know, he's a Taekwondo guy. I was a Taekwondo guy, and I'm seeing this, and I just start feeling competitive, like, oh, what would my instructor say about this? Oh, he'd point out this was wrong, and that was wrong, and the other was wrong, because that's what he did to me. And so what happened? I was a jerk on the internet, and I said some mean things. And Micah said, no mean things back. Dude is all class. And 14 years later, we did a podcast together. And after the podcast, I related this incident to him. And he said these words to me. This is the very important lesson. I forgive you. I remember and I forgive you. Few words in English or any other language contain more power than that expression. What is forgiveness? Is it excusing bad behavior? No, it is letting go of negative feelings that hold you back. That's why it's power. So, very important lesson from Micah Brock right there. Master Wong, let's talk about Master Wong. The most important lesson I learned about Master Wong, and some of you might be thinking, Master Wong, didn't you make a video picking apart his technique about how bad his rear naked choke was, and you laughed at him and stuff like that? Yes, I did. And the most important lesson I've learned from Master Wong is that Master Wong, his first name is not actually Master. That might sound like a joke, but I'm not joking. The most important thing I've learned from Master Wong is he has a first name. And when I learned Master Wong's first name, suddenly he became human. He wasn't just some wacky NPC in a video game, some soulless robot screaming obscenities online about what an idiot I am and how he's mad about me making a video critiquing his technique, but that he's a person just like I'm a person. Everybody's a human. Man, that sounds like it is redundant information. Everybody's a human, but this is one of the most important things that a coach of mine said to me. Those exact words. Everybody's a human. My old coach, my good friend Shane Brenner, back in the United States, I was training for a fight against a really tough guy. The fight didn't go through because I ended up getting injured. But I'm getting ready for this fight, and I'm defeating myself mentally, telling myself how tough this guy is, putting him up on a pedestal. And Shane says to me, look, man, everybody's a human. And that's exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. Oh, this guy is just like me. He's just as human as me. He's feeling these same things I am. He's not some special robot monster. He's a person. So Master Wong's first name, man, that's one of the more important things. Stephan Kesting. I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. I would love to do a podcast with Stephan Kesting. Stephan, if you're listening, please let me know if you want to do a podcast. I would love to do it. But he has so much information on the internet about jiu-jitsu, about grappling arts, about self-defense, also some great information about traditional martial arts. But one of the more important lessons I learned watching Stephan and his online presence is there is life outside of martial arts. And a lot of you who watch these channels just for fun and train once in a while, you're obviously like, well, yeah, obviously. Martial arts is the exception, not the norm, but man, when martial arts is your life, it is important to remember there is life outside of martial arts. And I remember Stephan was posting about going on I think it was a kayaking trip across Canada or Alaska or something like that, just out in the wilderness, out in the frozen wilderness for some extended period of time. And he posted a few updates about this on social media. And I remember thinking like, he's just kind of putting like this martial arts thing aside for a meaningful amount of time and just going out and being in nature by himself, just surviving and just being a man right there. And that got me thinking, that got the gears turning about how important it is to change up your routine sometimes and step outside of the box, step outside of your personal paradigm and change it and see the world from that different perspective. Tony Jeffries, boxing expert, very decorated boxer with a great YouTube channel about boxing. And one thing I've learned from him is that no matter how good you are at fighting, no matter how many medals or championships you have, okay? The most interesting thing you have to offer is you. Why am I saying that? Why? Because I loved his vlogs. I wish he would make more of them. Tony, if you're watching this, make more vlogs about your life, because those things were fascinating. And I know they didn't get as many views as your boxing tutorials, which are great, and I hope you make those forever and ever. But, man, the most interesting thing about you is you. And I love that. Love that about your channel and your personality. Firas Zahabi, man, shout out to Firas Zahabi. Go check out his channel. He's been going through a rough spot lately, so go support Firas in the TriStar Gym and watch his recent live stream about what's going on there, man. Help him out, support him. Firas Zahabi, awesome martial artist, awesome internet presence about mixed martial arts, man. But probably the most important lesson I've learned from him, I learned from one of his students. One of his students came to my gym in Shanghai, came to visit China for a while, trained at my gym for a few weeks, and I'm just going to say this, the skill, the humility, and the willingness to learn that I observed from Firas' student spoke volumes about the instructor. I've never met Firas in person, but his student told me everything I needed to know about the teacher. Well done. Very well done. Eddie Bravo. Yeah, Eddie Bravo's on YouTube as well. The most valuable lesson I learned from Eddie Bravo, you can learn a lot while you're sitting on the toilet. You can learn man, if you haven't read Mastering the Rubber Guard, read it and you might understand what I'm talking about. Robin Black, sports commentator. One of my jobs as well as coach, I am a fight commentator, ringside commentator, and so I always like to pay attention to what other ringside commentators are doing. So I've done commentary for Kunlun Fight and a few other organizations, fight shows here in China. And Robin Black, famous for his 1-minute breakdowns, which are awesome. Go check him out if you're not familiar. But probably the most important lesson I learned from him, I'm going to say two things. One, you don't have to be a carbon copy of Joe Rogan. In fact, please don't. And two, you can fit a lot of quality content into 1 minute, and you don't have to rush, and you don't have to shout, and you don't have to get crazy intense. but you can pack quality content into short periods of time, even with a dramatic pause. Fight commentary breakdowns. Now this, hear me out. Jerry Liu, I like this guy. I consider him a friend. We've had conversations outside of YouTube. I like Jerry. And I thought about this for a while, because he has a lot of varied videos, right? But the most important thing I've learned from Jerry, he posted and he popularized some of the worst, most painful moments of my life on his YouTube channel. Not just my fighting career, but my life. There was a 2-week period where I had 3 fights. 3 fights in like 2 weeks. And 2 of these fights, you can see at least part of them on Jerry's channel, and they were bad fights. These are fights where I cut down to featherweight, lost a lot of weight, almost died in the process, and grossly underperformed, had my rotator cuff torn, and then had to fight a couple days later. And then had another fight a few days later, and it was just, it was bad. And I was going through a really rough time at this point in my life. I had just had a falling out with my business partner, and man, I lost a lot of money, I lost a lot of capital, I lost a friend. I was set back in this huge way. I had lost my training partners. I lost my gym. I lost everything. And then I go out there and I lose 3 fights in a row. And I lose the mobility of my left arm. And it's just loss after loss after loss. And it's a really, really dark time in my life. And I don't even know how to take you there in words with how bad these moments were. And then Jerry makes some commentary on a couple of these fights. 2 out of these 3 fights in this 2-week period. And I remember watching this and just getting really irritated, like, why is he doing this? Why is he putting this up here? And a lot of people start watching these. And then every single day since he's posted these fights, every single day I get at least one very angry, very snide, very snarky, very dark and negative comment about how much I suck and how terrible I am and how I should just give up and die and all these horrible things. I get these messages every day because of those videos. And this probably sounds like I'm hating on Jerry. No. Thank you, Jerry, for posting these videos. Thank you for showing not just the world, but showing me, allowing me to relive this dark moment in my life over and over and over again every single day. Thank you. Why? And I'll tell you why. Resentment of these moments is what pushes me forward. Resentment of these moments is why today, in my 40s, as a middle-aged man, that guy that I was back then, 12 years ago, wouldn't stand a chance in a fight. But more so, it's a valuable lesson in learning to let go. Because when people try to hurt you on the internet by telling you how much you suck, I saw this bad fight where you sucked 12 years ago, where you had a bad experience, you were bad and you should feel bad about it. And if you hold on to that, and you try to justify that, and you try to do some mental gymnastics and tell yourself that it really wasn't that bad, when it was that bad. Everything about it was bad, and I did feel bad, and I went through that. And I grew from it. and I let it go. And it keeps coming back to me, and it keeps forcing me to repeat that process again and again and again. You cannot rest on your laurels. You cannot. Sergio Pérez, from Practical Combat Martial Arts. Probably the most important lesson I've learned from Sergio is never underestimate anybody. Never write anybody off. Because a lot of people write off Sergio. Right? They look at him and they're like, you don't look like a fighter, you don't look like this, you don't look like that, I think I could take you, whatever. And time again, he has proved the haters wrong. And I'm not saying everybody out needs to go out there and take challenge matches and prove the haters wrong. But what you should do, never write off anybody, never underestimate anybody, and always understand that everybody, even the guy you don't think has anything to teach you, has something to teach you. Rener Gracie. The most important lesson I've learned from Rener Gracie is don't limit yourself to one thing. Don't limit yourself to one stream of revenue. Expand your horizons, both inside and outside of martial arts. Rener is an exceptional jiu-jitsu athlete. And he would do just fine, I'm sure, just doing just jiu-jitsu for his whole life. But the dude's an entrepreneur, the dude's a hustler. What's he doing? He's going out there, expanding his horizons, expanding his empire, and he's done pretty well for himself. And when you're doing well for yourself, you have the power to help others do the same. Keenan Cornelius, man, this is going to be a technical one. This is going to be a technical one. The most important video from Keenan Cornelius to me, it was titled something like "The Best Armbar That Nobody's Using." And I took a look at it, and he was absolutely right. And this is now my preferred finish for an armbar. And I love it, and I use it constantly, and it is rock solid. And is it just the fact that he showed a good technique that I use now? Well, that's a big part of that's what caught my attention. Because before that moment, I'd always thought of Keenan as like the worm guard guy, right? You know, this lapel guard guy. And sure, yeah, he does that, and he's good at that and all that. But, and I kind of wrote it off like, my main emphasis is mixed martial arts. I do grapple in the gi. I do want to get better at that so I can advance in rank, etc., etc. But, we'll skip Keenan because, no, man. That guy has a universe of quality information for any grappler to learn from. So go check him out. Giga Ovgod, also known as Giga Uguro, or however you pronounce that. Interesting guy. Kind of a strange channel to explain. This dude is ripped beyond belief. He does all kinds of crazy athletic things, backflips, gymnastics, martial arts, all kinds of crazy stuff. And he praises Jesus and quotes scripture, and he is 100% unapologetic about it. And I am a man of faith myself. Different denomination than Mr. Uguro, but one thing I learned from him is that having the courage to publicly and unapologetically express your truth is cool. And whether or not it's mainstream, I don't care. It's cool, and I'm sticking to it. Shane Fazen, the Fight Tips guy. The most important lesson I've learned from Shane is a whiteboard is a really, really valuable piece of equipment. Not just in the gym, for writing out a gym schedule, but for writing down information about YouTube video making. If you want to be a YouTuber, get yourself a whiteboard and write down the notes about what you plan to do. That's good stuff. Thanks, Shane. Grand Master Jesse of Mexican Martial Arts. MMA, Mexican Martial Arts. It's like regular martial arts, but better. What have I learned from him? The most valuable lesson from Grandmaster Jesse. Your style can be like other styles, but better. Jedi Does Jiu-Jitsu. This is an awesome channel. I love it. This guy's videos are so cool, man. Just really good videos. There are so many bad jiu-jitsu videos out there. Not bad content. I mean, some of the best jiu-jitsu guys out there make the most dry, boring, unwatchable videos. Yeah. How many times have you seen a BJJ video that starts like this? Okay. Excuse me. Swallow some spit down the wrong pipe. But we're going to roll with it. How many jiu-jitsu videos have you seen that started like this? Okay, guys, we're gonna, and then they ramble for like 5 minutes. They don't even show you the technique, and they break apart little details before you even know what they're teaching, and the pedagogy is just off. The entertainment value is zero. It's just not good instruction. Good information, not good instruction. And this is very prevalent. And then Jedi Does Jiu-Jitsu. He's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the dude is like a red belt in video making. Guy is just fantastic at what he does and how he conveys information and breaks down matches and shows you technique and stuff like that. It's just good. YouTube videos don't have to be boring. Cary Kolat. Very similar lesson here. His wrestling videos are awesome, and I love them. And you'll notice they're short. But the most valuable lesson about technique, show the technique first. Here's a Cary Kolat video in summation. Here's the technique we're going to show you. Here it is from another angle. Here it is from another angle. Here it is in slow motion. Now here's how to do it. Here's a problem you might have when doing it. Here's how to fix that problem. Here's the technique one more time. Done. And they're fantastic. I love Cary Kolat, man. And last on my list, Coach Anthony. I know there are other martial arts YouTubers out there. If I missed you, I apologize, but I have limited time. So do you. We're already 37 minutes in. But Coach Anthony, awesome boxing coach, and one of the most important things that I learned from him, and this seems like it's obvious, but that is be the best coach that you can be. Focus on being the best coach that you can be. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.